This is Rebuttal, presented by Extra Insights. The country has been in and out of lockdown since the onset of pandemic. Education has gone online, but the question is, can India afford online education at the grassroots level? My name is Vikram Pratap Singh and this is Rebuttl, presented by Extra Insights. A new education policy has been passed recently where MPhil has been discontinued. There are several other changes like mother tongue to be a medium of instruction till 5th grade. There will be a common entrance exams conducted by the National Testing Agency NTA for admissions to universities and higher education institutions. Students will be given increased flexibility and choice of subjects to study. There is a particular fund, the Gender Inclusion Fund, will be available to support and scale effective community-based interventions that address barriers to female and transgender children access to education as well. Today we discuss that. In a country with education for all as the leading motto, can online education really make it to those who are the prime targets of the government initiative? Speaking for the motion is Pranit Roy. He is currently pursuing his MBBS degree and works in SSKM Hospital. He has participated in several debates at the national level and is passionate about engaging in discourse regarding issues plaguing our country. Speaking against the motion is Kalicharan. He is currently pursuing his post-graduation from Jadavpur University and is the editor-in-chief of a leading Bengali news website, Khabarwala. Let me quickly establish the rules. Each participant gets a total of 5 minutes for opening comments, 3 minutes to share their closing comments. And opening round buzzers, first buzzer at 3 minutes 30 seconds, second one at 4 minutes 30 seconds, and third one will signify time up. Second round, rebuttal and refute. First buzzer will be at 2 minutes, second one at 2 minutes 30 seconds, and third time up. The closing round will have two buzzers, one at 40 seconds and the other one at 1 minute. So we start with Pranit.
Thank you for the introduction. So whenever the question is, can we do something? Can we do X, Y, Z? The way to answer that is not only recognize the challenges and address how the challenges will be met, but also why must we do this, okay? And the necessity of it. And I'll tell you the necessity in this case. So there is a demographic context to this debate. So our country stands at a very unique demographic point. That is around, I won't bore you with exact numbers, but more than 20%. Significant population is very young in our country, very, very young, at the adolescent age. And so our country is primed to supply the workforce to the world. Now it can be a demographic burden or it can be a demographic boon. So the only way forward is education. So education will decide which way we go. And there's one clarification with regards to the target audience which was in the motion. I mean, it is assumed that the target audience is the children who do not have access to education, but I would equally say another target which we should not miss is the fact that a lot of corporates, a lot of industries find the majority of graduates in our country to be unemployable. They do not have the skills to be employed, and that is also a bridge that we have to cross. And I would say they would also fall under the target audience, because ultimately the goal of our country is to make as many people employable as possible. And the question is, why online education? Why not offline? Now the problem is, seemingly online education requires a lot of infrastructure, a lot of resources, but I'll tell you why that is not always the case. There is more to that than meets the eye. And a survey conducted by Child Rights and You and several other organizations found that there is the key piece of infrastructure which is missing in a lot of government, state education infrastructure is not classrooms, it's not class codes, it's not chalk, it is teachers. That is what is missing. And supplying and educating teachers is something which online education can do very well. Okay, I mean, it is much easier for teachers or potential teachers who want to be, or people who want to be teachers, to aggregate and take an online course, and only then will they be dispersed into several peripheral centers to teach on their behalf. And one assumes that what is lacking in very rural places is a classroom. A classroom is never the limiting factor. It is the teachers. And also, we live in interesting times. Okay, only a couple of days back, the government rolled out the national educational policy, whereby amongst many other changes, students also have a lot of freedom to choose individual subjects. And in this context, it will also provide a great strain amongst the teachers, teachers equipped to teach a variety of subjects, and even vocational training. You can't expect one headmaster to provide vocational training in many streams. So the crunch of teachers is something which can only be corrected by online education. And I recognize there are many challenges forward, because there is undeniably a digital divide in India. I mean, in terms of access to equipment such as computers or smartphones, and access to electricity. These are the two basic challenges which plagues our nation. And the thing is, I am not saying tomorrow each and every child will get access to education. That's not happening. But the question is whether our government will make a real and sustained effort to go to that end. And I think the answer is yes. Electricity, the government is rolling out electricity to many villages on a daily basis. Now this is according to the Ministry of Infrastructure. Now, for you if you believe that claims. But and also the government has launched a national optic fiber network, so there is a real sustained effort from the government to provide electricity, to provide internet facilities to even the peripheries. So, and the government has pledged to increase the net spend on education by orders of magnitude, by 1.5% of GDP, which is huge. So, the other challenge is yes, but this is something which is not optional anymore for the government, because we have to understand that we think the unemployment is on the rise now. I mean, by all accounts, in the next 10 years, if nothing were to change, we would be adding 200 unemployed people in the country, and that would provide a significant social strain to our country. So it is not a choice. The government has to educate 200 million people, and the only way forward is online education. And why was I so semantic about who the target audience is? Because why do we focus on primary education? Because that is a tool of social mobility. Someone who's achieved literacy, someone who's achieved primary education can be employed at a certain level. But the thing is, that is not enough anymore. I mean, this is a variation of trickle-down education, if you would call it, wherein we have to also get the people who receive education on the face of it, people who are college graduates in many fields and many vocational fields. They are being considered unemployable or unfit for hire by many corporates and many industries, because the education system has not been modernized, and that is something we need to address too, because these people will also provide a strain on the services which are meant to cater only to those who have challenges to access education, like challenges in accessing round-the-clock electricity, round-the-clock internet services. And so the crux of my argument is that we say that can we do this, can we do that? There are challenges, yes, but the challenge is it is not a choice anymore. I mean, the social strain of 250, and the unemployment, the crime rate, the social tension which will be there when you have millions and millions of uneducated youth which are being churned out year on year in. To address that, the only way forward is education. And online education has significant benefits to offline education, in that it can reach a larger audience at one go, and because it's a one-time investment, it is honestly a one-time investment. Just one projector, one screen can serve. I mean, it's expensive, of course, but again, expenses is because of market forces which is subject to change. But one-time investment can keep a lot of can be an education multiplier, as opposed to the old-fashioned you dispatch teachers here and there with zero accountability. You don't know if the teachers are imparting quality education or not. Whereas with online education, there is accountability. There is a guarantee that the education is of a certain quality. It addresses the shortage of teachers. It educates the teachers themselves in many areas, and especially in this context of the NEP, where children are going to want to learn several vocational skills and several vocational abilities. In that context,
Yes, Pranil, that's your time, and I think you have had some fantastic arguments going for your way. And I guess it's time that we let you know Kalicharan speak, and this is his. He will be speaking against the motion. So this is Kalicharan. Kalicharan, the stage is all yours.
Yeah, so before I start the context of this debate, well, the motion of this debate was, can online education really make it to to those who are the prime targets of government initiatives? So first, I will point out what are the government initiatives we are talking about, or what are the government initiatives till now which the government has taken till now. I will list out 5 initiatives which the government has taken till now to impart online education in India. Right? Number one is Swayam Central. What is this? Swayam Central is government-owned massive open online course which government has launched, where it has aggregated all the courses which are there, provided by professors of IITs and IIMs and of central institutes. Second, number two, Swayam Prabha. It is a channel which is basically 32 DPS channel which government has launched, so that students can watch on a television on various subjects from starting from IIT to history to anthropology. So this has been launched by government. This has been launched in 2016. Then we have e-Pathshala, which is you can get all the books available in a digital format. Then we have a national digital library, which provides to millions of books to college students free of cost. And number 5 is NPTEL for engineering students. Basically, this is a certificate add-on course, vocational course for engineering students, which basically adds value to their degree, right? So these are the basic five schemes which the government has launched in the last, say, 5 to 6 years to promote online education in India, right? Now the problem here is that coming to the motion, whether it has made it to the students, whether this government initiatives have made it to the students or not, or whether the end user has got their benefit or not. The answer is a big no, because number one, people don't know these schemes exist, right? Because these schemes are wonderful schemes on paper, let me tell you. These schemes like Swayam Prabha is government-owned massive online open course. Is a big, it can challenge Coursera and EDX any day. The quality of courses they have, or the Swayam Prabha 32 DPS channel. Imagine a student who spends 2 to 3 lakhs in IIT courses or studying for NEET can study free of cost through these DPS courses, and these are uploaded in the website too. So this is readily available. But the problem is that there is not enough marketing of these courses, of these government initiatives, so the end user is not getting the benefit of it. Now, coming to the next aspect of it is what hinders students from getting these facilities or taking advantage of this initiative. Number one is the technical challenge, which Pranil rightly pointed out. But the technical challenges are threefold. Number one is electricity. Electricity access is not the problem. Each and every household in India has electricity. The problem is each and every household does not have 24-hour electricity, right? So in hinterland you get 18 to 20-hour electricity, where suppose in prime time you don't get 4 to 6 hours of electricity. That's a major problem. Second technological issue is mobile phone. There are still 30,000 villages in India which do not have a mobile phone mobile phone connectivity hasn't reached those villages. Number 3 is internet issues. In a hinterland, say, if you in the city of West Bengal, in the state of West Bengal, if you go outside, if you go in the interiors of Jhargram or Bankura or Bishnupur, you have a lot of internet issues and you don't get proper internet connectivity. Therefore, technological problems are there, and this scheme is not for the 1% liberal metropolitan elite or 1% of the metropolitan elite. If you want to target, online education, it has to be for the masses, right? So these are the three technological factors which hinder the flow of online education in India. Now, secondly, what is happening is these online courses are self-paced, right? So when these online courses are self-paced, people will say that there is too much flexibility, and that's the disadvantage of it. When there is too much flexibility in a particular course, what happens is the students tend to procrastinate, and when they procrastinate a particular course, then they hardly complete it. Like if you look at statistics, like people take up courses on ETS, Coursera, or say the government portal of web, but hardly less than 10% of them complete it, right? Which is the lack of motivation or the poor time management, because the online courses give you a lot of flexibility, and what happens is students don't take it seriously, and students don't have that initiative, that courage to complete that course, right? So this is how you don't complete the course. Now, people think students are of the opinion that need to go down, courses or add-on courses or certificate courses, because they will have an easy way out. They will have an easy way out to the course, right? Which is and there is a lack of commitment to complete that particular degree, and that's the major problem, I think. So people don't even complete that particular course they take up, even if they pay for that course, right? So now, finally, I would suggest a policy decision to compensate. What can the government do to chalk out this problem? First of all, if you want to solve the technological issue, then a lot of people don't have access to tablets, mobile phone, or say laptops. So each government should come up here and they should provide low cost tablets or mobile phones to first generation. I'll just complete this point and end this argument.
Sure.
Is that those who are first generation students, their family, those who are first generation graduates, or say first generation class 10, class 12 students, their family do not come up with a very good background or say educated background. So the government needs to come up and support them with providing them with low-cost tablets, so that these students who are among the last to reach the government initiative, they get benefit of it.
Fantastic. Low-cost tablets can, do a lot of good. So this was the first round, and we will head into the second round, where we can go for the rebuttals and refute. So we will begin this round with Pranit, can go ahead with his rebuttals. So Pranit, the stage is all yours.
Yeah, respectfully, I would like to summarize Kalicharan's speech in 3 to 4 points. That is, first he spoke about how government initiatives have not penetrated to the interiors of our country. I agree 100%. And he echoed my concerns about the challenges of uninterrupted electricity and technological challenges, which I agree with. And I'm very glad, that at the end of his speech, he himself gave suggestions. And I just want to say that the government is aware of the challenges, and suggestions such as low-cost tablets are absolutely on the table. Thank you for that. But here is where I disagree, and what I find extremely condescending is that when we question the students' motivation and commitment, I mean, the problem is when you are looking at it and comparing it to, Coursera, 90% students drop out, only 10% students complete it. We are talking about students like us in metropolitan cities, for whom it's optional, for whom it's an add-on. You use the word some students see it as add-on. But in the hinterlands, in the interiors of our country, the students don't see this as add-on. It is a ticket to escaping poverty. It is a ticket to escaping the cycle of poverty that exists. So I think it's very condescending to question the motivation of students, because the target audience is not in the online education game to achieve a degree or to satisfy their parents' needs. They're there to escape poverty, and I disagree with when we are questioning their courage, their courage to continue. And when you said when you said about flexibility of the courses, right? Like, oh, the courses are so flexible, people do not take it seriously. The thing is, there is a reason why online courses have to be flexible, because unlike us who live in homes which are fairly comfortable, each with amenities, a lot of the target audience does not have that privilege. A lot of the target audience are daily wage workers who cannot invest a significant time per day in education, and which is why the courses need to be flexible. I mean, we cannot advocate for rigid courses, then we are just excluding a lot of people with daily commitments, daily wage commitments from entering the courses. So that is what I found condescending. And as far as technological challenges, I would say the government is aware of it. Electricity, the situation is being improved, uninterrupted electricity, and courses which have the option of recording, downloading, and viewing later. The reason, I mean, a lot of courses have this opportunity to download the course and view it later is because a lot of villages have uninterrupted power problems. So that when there is power, the student can log on to the course and can look at that when there is power, not necessarily at a fixed one, like this meeting, 1 p.m. today. Not like that. So which is why the courses are so flexible. Of course, electricity and technological challenge. The question is not has it reached as of this moment. As Kalicharan very rightly pointed out, he named 5 government initiatives which have not penetrated well. Of course, it has to be marketed properly. Of course, marketing is a limiting factor. But the question is can, and I think sooner or later the focus will have to. That is the crux of my argument. Right now, the focus is perhaps not on education as much, but I mean, for the current government to reduce spending in and the Ayush department and increase the spending in education department means they've recognized the problem. The BJP government doesn't do that. And okay, I don't want to sound political, but for a government to increase the spending in the education GDP by 1.5% of its total GDP is a significant step. That means they're recognizing the fact that to address the growing unemployment challenge in our country, and ultimately unemployment is the root of the crime, of crime rates, of social tension, of a lot of economic and social problems. And the government is recognizing that. And can it reach? I would say, so my forward answer to that is it has to reach.
Fantastic. It has to reach. That is a fantastic rebuttal. And now we go for Kalicharan's rebuttal. So stage is all yours, Kalicharan.
If we introduce this young population, if we introduce this online education, the young population, which is say unemployed will get the necessary skills to make him say employable. But that is not the case. Even in online, even if you provide online education, even for example, say a girl who takes up a nursing course online, she is a Malayali, and she also takes up an online course, language course in say Japanese, right? So both the courses are online, and she gets a job in say Japan in a medical college, right? In a medical college and hospital, and what happens is she again, even with this course, she does not have the necessary skills to perform her duty, because online education does not meet your soft skill issues, which probably a classroom can meet. So even to say that online education will solve the problem of unemployment, of skill development, of vocational training, of making them employable, which industry says that students graduates are unemployable. Even in online education, which we propose, the problem does not solve. That is my first rebuttal. Coming to my second rebuttal, where I made my point of too much flexibility, right? Now, too much flexibility is a problem, because we are dealing with just, to say, teenagers and kids who have their own set of mental health issues, own set of problems. And given, for example, say in the present context, say we have a semester of say 1 year or 6 months, take 6 months for example, and you give him the flexibility, you complete this online course in 6 months. So for the next for 4 months, he won't study at all. That is the nature. So which is happening in the self-paced course. You take a self-test course, you can complete it in 3 years. Even if you can complete the course in say 10 days, they give this online platform give you to complete this courses in 3 years or say whenever you want, no limit. So that is too much flexibility, which is very problematic. You should give tough deadlines, tough homework. You need to be you need to have a webcam on, and you need to like interact with teachers. So probably even if that's not a live class, interact with teachers on virtually through email. That is not happening in online courses, even if in advanced countries, right? People cannot even leave India, where there is not a technological problem, where there is countries where you have broadband connectivity full time. I'll just finish this argument and complete. Well, you have this is not an India-centric problem. Too much flexibility is a global problem, and we need to be a bit strict. If we are not being strict, then this too much flexibility is not an advantage, a big disadvantage, which if you want to fix the online system, you have to fix. Thank you.
Too much flexibility is a big disadvantage, says Kalicharan. So, with that, we come to the end of this debate, but we still have the last round for the closing statements. We can have Pranil, we can start with you for the closing statements. Thank you.
Yeah, so I'll quickly run over. So there are basically two questions to address. One is, can online education make people more employable? And secondly, about flexibility versus the flexibility in the rural scenario. So the first thing, that was an excellent example. Okay, a Keralite wants to become a nurse in Japan, and she took a Japanese course, and I think that symbolizes the exercise our government is trying. That is, you have to believe in your population. Okay, you can't say that, oh, you know what, this group doesn't have the soft skills. You can't do that. Okay, and as an example, in the US, you have 40% of nurses are actually Filipino nurses from the Philippines. And that happened because they received their English education separately, and they received the nursing education, and they immigrated to the US in large numbers. And okay, they had problems in the beginning, the language issues, cultural disconnect, but they overcame, and now you have a thriving Filipino nursing population. So you have to believe in the population, and over time, soft skills can be acquired over time, and over time you will reap the rewards. Okay, so excellent example which served to enhance my argument. And about the responsibility versus flexibility. Again, it's very condescending to question the responsibility of a child who cycles 4 kilometers, hours and hours to go to a school just to study. It's very irresponsible. We have to recognize the point. Deadlines are important, of course, but then again, it's even more important to cater to the lowest common denominator, and the lowest common denominator is people in the farmlands working 12 hours a day to earn their daily living, and that is the economic situation. And of course, I mean, that is a very semantic argument. That's semantics, a very pedantic argument. Should we have flexibility? Should we have rigidity? That is for the government to decide. But I'm glad that we agree that an online course can disseminate. Okay, but when Kalicharan is talking about online courses have flexibility issues, that means we are arguing that okay, online courses can penetrate, and then and that is the point of the debate. And then should we have flexibility, or should we very rigidly suppress them? And as for how online courses can make someone more employable, online courses have the advantage of modern pedagogy. Our colleges are teaching 30-year-old syllabi, theories which are outdated. And online courses are updated. They teach modern pedagogy and semantics about interactions with teachers. Of course, all that comes later. But first, let us get our children into schools. Let us get them educated. Thank you.
Fantastic. Let us get our children to school and let us get them educated. And obviously the Filipino nurses. Right. So, can we have Kalicharan? The stage is all yours.
Right. So to conclude, again coming to the motion, can online education really make it to the prime target of government's initiative? As I listed out 5 initiatives, and as I proved to you how they have not reached out to the masses, and right now the you ask me whether this initiative can reach out to the masses right now in short to medium run, a big no. In long run, yes, these can reach out to the masses provided we solve the technological issues, provided we make students responsible, provided that mind you, the courses, the Filipino nurses or the nurses from Latin America which have settled in USA, these are classroom courses, and there are even most of the doctors in the United States where doctors in the United States are from outside. So these nurses train in Philippines in a good medical college or a nursing institute, right? And same for the doctor to come there. Imagine a doctor studying online. That's not possible. That's not virtually possible, given the fact you are a MBBS student. So you understand the fact that would never be possible, right? So even that nursing student, he took her classes. He did not take online classes. He studied in a nursing school, got educated in a classroom-based education, and then got a job. And that's how you develop soft skills in a nursing institute, because you get an opportunity to interact with patients of that language. So yes, that will build, I agree, but the problem is they would still remain unemployable. The company has. I'll just complete this argument. The first argument that you made in this entire debate was even after graduating, the students will remain unemployable, and through online education, this will change it. So I again put to you how this will not change it, because the company has to invest on that nurse for 1 to 2 years to develop her soft skills and then become fully employed.
Thank you very much, Pranil and Kalicharan. You've both come with very, very valid points. Talking for the motion was Pranil, and he raised some great points. Education has to be modernized. Online education can reach a larger number of population, and online education is accountable. Speaking against the motion was Kalicharan. Too much flexibility leads to procrastination by students, poor time management, and lack of commitment from students. With that, we come to the close of Rebuttal. It was a pleasure to hear you on Rebuttal. Our listeners can participate in the debate on our website or via the Extra Insights app. We would love to hear your rebuttals. We shall see you next week with another real debate.